Welcome to the In-Depth Weekly Astrology Overview for week commencing the 13th of July for the Ascendant, the Sun, or the Moon. Going to share the big themes of the week first. On the screen is your event chart as we go into the week. I'll unpack that too. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances. Thank you so much for joining me, astrologer Patrick Arundell. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. As we go into this week, we have a Mercury cazimi. That's when the sun applies to another planet, magnifying that planet's energies. But this Mercury cazimi in Cancer is when Mercury is in retrograde. What's the significance of that for you? We also have on Tuesday a new moon in your sign. A Cancer new moon is a chance to celebrate all that's great about your ruler, the moon, which is very much to do with intuition, protectiveness. But for you, it's also the first house, which is very much about you showing your cardinal energies, which is very much to do with authority and action. I'll share with you how you can work with that. We also have at the start of the week a restless right angle between Venus and Uranus. There could be an old issue that just gets a little bit triggered early on and even through to Thursday. However, towards the end of the week, it's an opportunity for you to potentially use your past experiences and knowledge in a way that can be very beneficial for your career. So on the screen now, Cancer is your event chart, and there's the moon. So just on midnight, the moon moves into your sign, and it's preparing your week for when it will merge with the sun on Tuesday. But you can see the sun and Mercury very close together. So Mercury's retreating, the sun's advancing, and that's why we get the cazimi. It's the fourth of the year. What's the significance? Well, Mercury is very much about how we think, can be to do with our intellect, but it can also be to do with how we communicate, but also it's about ideas and precision. And you may have gone through some frustration recently when something just hasn't seemed to have gone forwards in quite the way you want. I think the Mercury cazimi on this occasion gives you a chance to cut through perhaps even your emotion and be a little bit more objective about something that has been weighing you down. But we do have at the start of this week too that Uranus-Venus square. Now, Uranus in Gemini is a very restless energy, and the 12th house can be to do with past memories. It can be to do with your subconscious, but it can also be to do with your more spiritual and psychological insights. But that square with Venus suggests that maybe if you are feeling a bit restless around a relationship situation, perhaps you're wanting to do your own thing a little bit more with that new moon energy. It's possible that some words could come up. There may be a tense exchange. But if they do come out, perhaps that gives you an opportunity to clear the air. Now, as we go through the week, we are going to see Mars move forwards, like Uranus, in that 12th house, which can be a complex influence. Mars in the 12th house can stir up old issues, but it does then come into a fantastic link with Saturn, the planet of structure. And if you've been working on an idea behind the scenes, maybe doing some deep research, the action that you take towards the end of this week suggests you can balance the thrust of Mars's energy with the more practical, stable vibe of Saturn. However, we also have, as the week draws to a close, Uranus linking to Pluto. Now, this is the first time in these two zodiac signs of Gemini and Aquarius for many, many years that this has happened exactly. We did get a little bit of a taste of it last year, and it has been building up for some while. It's possible that something is evolving in your situation, but it may require you to think about how you could take a radical approach to something. For example, you may be wanting to get in touch with energies that disturb the status quo, but in a way which can be really exciting for you. Now, this could be around your inner journey. It may be to do with the way you connect with the world at large, but it is intriguing. I'm going to summarize those 4 areas of vitality, work, relationships, and next for you, Cancer. Just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now 3 for the price of 1. But when you order, you'll also get your forecast, not just for the next 12 months, but right through to the end of 27. So rest of 26, 3, and all of 27. And your life roadmap report helps us to understand the patterns that play out in our lives, and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. Please see below for more. Now, I've done a forecast for the second half of the year, and I've threaded into that the midpoint of the calendar year event chart, also taking a fresh look at your solar return and the 2 solar eclipses, the lunar eclipse at the end of August, and also Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, which is coming at the end of October. Please see on the screen for the italic eye. You can click on that and it will take you to the video. And if you would like to work with me one-to-one, it would be a pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And you can also sign up for your free daily written horoscope. So to summarize, I feel in terms of your energy, if you do feel a bit restless, it wouldn't actually be a surprise, because maybe there are things that haven't been quite resolved. Maybe you thought they had been. I think Mars and Uranus being so close together, particularly at the start of this week with Uranus's square with Venus, could make you think about relationships in a completely different way. Now, that could be challenging, but it could leave you feeling a bit ragged. But there is a benefit that can come from that if you can release some energies that have been locked away deep within you. In terms of your physical vibe, I feel that the new moon in the first house can be very good for that. But it's also good perhaps to give yourself some kind of dynamic makeover, because that can also make your general vibe just feel that much more uplifted. Now, when it comes to your professional situation, as I've been saying for some while, it does depend on whether you're happy in your existing environment or not. Because if you're not, the new moon is broadly in a square with Saturn. So if you do work somewhere which is very heavy, repressive, not very flexible, doesn't allow you to express yourself, you probably really need to think again, and perhaps even think about some of your own skills, how they could be applied in working for yourself. I think that could be really intriguing. However, if you're working in a situation that really allows you to express yourself, Uranus, I beg your pardon, Jupiter's link with Neptune is stunning. And I think that can, if you are doing something that really gives your heart an opportunity to be in touch with your soul purpose, it could also be something that you can monetize. And speaking of which, with Venus in that third house, the planet of money, and in that square with Uranus, you could be tempted to buy something a bit more spontaneously. But the overall trends, as far as finances, look good with Jupiter in the second house. But there could be a little bit of a tussle about what the money gets spent on later in the week as Jupiter goes into an opposition with Pluto. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me, Cancer. Have a great week. All the best.